Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of Gans processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
From the beginning of time, humans have always looked towards the sky for inspiration and guidance. There has been a fascination with birds, stars, gods, goddesses, and other entities which seem to exist above us, and for many humans, a strong yearning to travel into space. Man has dreamt of flight since observing space, and now it is time to become the space traveller. The future of space travel requires us to understand from where we came, to see where we are going.
Several thousand years ago, philosophers Mozi and Lu Ban from China were looking to the wind for flight. They invented kites using silk and bamboo, allowing for the later development of communication, measuring distances, testing the wind, and lifting men.
The invention of the kite brought with it the desire to fly. The first known attempts at flight were typically by leaping off towers, known as tower jumping. People in China, India, and Europe first attempted flight this way.
In 1670, Francesco Lana de Tarzi published a book that showed some interesting concepts. The concept of copper foil in a sphere with a vacuum would produce a vacuum airship. This is still not possible with today's materials. Francesco is recognized as the father of aeronautics, melding science and mathematics into aerial navigation.
The Chinese are believed to have developed the first hot air device. The Chinese lantern using hot air from a candle can take flight and was first used for signalling. The hot air balloon achieved the first human lift and advanced to what we know of as the Zeppelin.
The first attempts at flight in a heavier-than-air flying machine were made by more than just the Wright brothers. Most attempts failed, however, they were the stepping stones for what was to come later. The oldest airport, College Park, is still in operation today.
Airplanes evolved rapidly through the century, from propeller to helicopter to jet aircraft, and most of that technology is used today.
During the Second World War, Germany developed rockets that could go a limited distance. The basic rocket technology used then is still used today. The space race started with the Soviet Union and the USA in 1957 and led to many developments for the next step, the moon.
The spacecraft assigned as Apollo 11 was the first spacecraft to have landed on the moon. The space shuttle operated at tremendous cost. Burning the fuel proved to be wasteful and dangerous technology. The International Space Station, ISS, is a habitable artificial satellite that was assembled in low Earth orbit in 1998 with the use of the Space Shuttle. The ISS can often be seen with the naked eye from Earth.
SpaceX, as a private aerospace producer and space transportation services company, was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk with the goal of reducing space transportation costs and enabling the colonization of Mars. SpaceX reuses the first stage of their primary rocket, Falcon 9, by vertical propulsive landings. Although, up to present time, it still uses the rocket fuel burning technology. Mehran Keshe has always said, the time for burning fuels is over, but did we need to start with that technology in the first place?
Ancient cultures have suggested the use of an alternative means of transportation. With reference to possible plasma technology,
you can go to New York from Brussels within 2 to 5 minutes. And most of this 5 minutes is actually landing and getting up.
Mehran Tavakoli Keshe was born in Iran in 1958. As the son of an X-ray engineer, he was introduced to the world of radiation and nuclear science at a very young age. In 1981, he graduated from Queen Mary, the University of London, as a nuclear engineer specialized in reactor technology system control. At that time, he developed a number of theoretical ideas related to more simple nuclear concepts and their applications. In 2002, he decided to finish the full design of his ideas about nuclear technology. This included the creation and control of gravity and energy by the use of nuclear materials in a clean and safe hydrogen reactor. Mehran Keshe introduced the concept of double magnetic fields to explain the magnetic and gravitational field of Earth.
Unknown by the existing scientific community, he wrote a number of scientific papers in 2004 and sent them for peer review, such as the creation of black holes. When one of the persons performing the peer review used his information in public, he decided to draw back his papers and to concentrate further on building prototypes.
Since the beginning of 2006, several prototypes of dynamic reactors have been built, some specifically designed to create hovering effects, similar to effects seen with magnetic levitation. Basic hovering effects have been achieved. 2007 brought the first flight test with radioactive material, in which the patents describe the process of the field interactions.
The main patent, Gravitational and Energy System, described the initial fundamental aspects of the plasma and uses. This was followed by the supplemental patent, Microplasma Reactors, where further uses and advancements were described. Mr. Keshe found himself in Iran in 2008 and was provided all the resources needed to create the first lift of a plasma reactor managed by the Iranian government. These special rotating gas reactors were used to control the plasma. To bring a deeper understanding, Mr. Keshe released the first book in 2009, The Universal Order of Creation of Matters, which contained many new concepts released to the public. This included the PMTIC plasma magnetic fields, initial fundamental plasma and plasma dilution technology used for space reactors. The plasma technology was further developed and it manifested in weight fluctuation in a controlled environment. 2010 introduced a new state of matter called Gans, an acronym for gas in nanosolid state. The Gans produces fields to be used in the operation of the spaceship. Advanced flight tests were performed in Iran with the guidance of Mr. Keshe and the newly designed systems.
Mr. Keshe tells us you can't bring all the doctors with you in space. Medical research advanced in 2010 and is still being explored daily all around the world. The Keshe Foundation has provided knowledge for dealing with many medical conditions in space.
A great example of plasma technology used for peaceful process is the capturing of the USA drone over Iran in December 2011. This drone was touted as one of the most advanced drones of its day, and was caught by Iran using plasma to disrupt the community. communications. Plasma absorbs fields, and the drone uses radio fields for piloting, a natural aspect of the plasma, a barrier of fields.
Book 2, The Structure of the Light, was released in 2011. This book brought forward the understanding of the structure of light as a cylindrical plasma where the light is in possession of all magnetic field strengths. Book 3, The Origin of the Universe, was published later in 2011. Mr. Keshe explained the further operation and interaction of different strengths of the same fields, which then leads to the creation of the universe. These 3 books bring forward a much deeper understanding of the plasma science that is applied worldwide by knowledge seekers and scientists in spaceship research and development.
There were 2 conferences to release the space technology to governments in 2012. The first international presentation in April, Keshe Foundation invited representatives of every country to the first presentation of the plasma technology. The second international presentation in September, Keshe Foundation invited the nations of the world through their ambassadors and their leaders to attend a gathering at the Keshe Foundation Center in Nenove, Belgium.
Space travel requires peace. The implementation of the plasma technology brings greater responsibility. In 2013, Mr. Keshe brought forward the World Peace Treaty. Signing of the peace treaty is a confirmation from yourself to your soul to act correctly in a peaceful manner.
In 2014, knowledge seekers came together from around the world to learn from Mr. Keshe, and many different experiments with reactors were performed, including improving the previously developed reactors to fit with the new knowledge, introduction of nano-coated reactors, multi-core Gans systems. The Spaceship Institute lab experiments were streamed live on the internet for all to see. SSI lab tests with reactors showed strong magnetic field pulses up to 129 Tesla and showed significant weight fluctuations. In December, an experiment was performed using reactors built by knowledge seekers from around the world. Italy, Germany, and Canada were involved in field communication tests. The tests showed that fields can interact with each other no matter the distance or time, resulting in instant communication.
In 2015, developments for space continued with different aspects of the plasma technology, such as in health, energy, and decontamination. In October of 2015, Mr. Keshe taught a popular week-long course called The Blueprint Teachings about how to build the MAGRAV power units. People from all over the world participated with building their own MAGRAV units and teaching others. With the demand of the Keshe Foundation products from all over the world, a new research center and manufacturing opened in Arizona, USA. Many developments of the technology happened in different parts of the world, and Keshe Foundation USA is no exception. John and the team started performing experiments using different sensing tools. These tools allowed the team to visualize the MAGRAV fields and to show others their interactions. With reactor formations showing positive results, partaking in the knowledge together is easier and more joyful than ever. The fun has just begun, says MT Keshe.
Mr. Keshe publicly teaches the space technology through the weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. Plasma enthusiasts from around the world participate in gathering the knowledge and putting the puzzle together in the space race. All people, irrespective of race, nation or religion, are invited to participate in the exchange of knowledge, thus assisting humanity to live within the ethos of the universe. It is recognized that international cooperation and peace is a prerequisite for mankind to journey into deep space. Individuals and nations are invited to come together in the spirit of collaboration and unity to enable peaceful application and the use of plasma technology for space travel, food, agriculture, energy, transportation, health and more. We are excited to release the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Blueprint to humanity.
Hello and welcome everyone to the 494th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 13th, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond and I'll be host today. And once again, of course, we are joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and he will be with us shortly. First, I'd like to mention our background image today is taken by Dean, and this is of the Keshe knee Gans, special Gans that's been used for those who would like to participate in the program for easing the pain of knee issues and reconstruction of such problems. And the Dean in particular has some really good results, and he talks about that in the testimonials, the public meeting for testimonials, which occurred last Monday. And people can access the testimonials meeting on live stream and on the Keshe Foundation live stream channel. And there's many wonderful testimonials there, including with agriculture and health and connection with the soul. So you're invited to have a look at that and listen to Dean's testimonial in that testimonials meeting. Okay, Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin today? Not hearing you yet, Mr. Keshe. Maybe you need a couple more minutes. Or...
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Hi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Thank you very much for it. Yes, no problem. Good morning, good day to you as usual. Whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, we welcome you back as usual. And as usual, we try to share knowledge, to understand more, and try to break through new grounds of knowledge in space and other matters. As usual, we have a couple of small announcements to make. And one is about the 4 sessions which starts tomorrow in respect to the what we call 3-hour sessions. These sessions are set up directly for what we call new grounds of understanding and new what we call technologies which are developed, that we can see how much in what numbers and how in different applications we can expand the knowledge of the technology. For example, in tomorrow's session, we start at 12 o'clock, and you need minimum 2 headphones. This is a different way that we've done before. You can have 3 headphones, or maybe you can have access to one mobile phone with 5 entries. We leave everything to you. You write down what's the reason you took part and what your expectation. And we set up in the background to establish our way, our work in the 4 sessions which come up. One is 14th, 21st, 28th, and the 30th. Then on the 30th, at the end of the session, we ask you what you achieved, what you wanted. And maybe in one session you wanted to
do something with your emotion. In one session, you want to do something with your knee. In one session, you wanted to do something with your lung or whatever. We leave all that to you. We are not here to what we call interfere or anything. We want to see the process of the expansion of the soul in dimension of satisfaction of the emotion and physicality. So usually our medical people on the health side, on wellness side, over decades have tried everything. Now what we want to establish is that we want to create a condition as the citizens of one country, as a citizen of one city. This is a pretest for upcoming space cities, which is going to be structured with Keshe Foundation cooperation, which means you can come in one session and see how you feel, what you want to change. And the test we monitor in the background continuously. As you saw us last week, we didn't even take any testimonial or any what we call ballots to see what happened, how you felt, because we could see the operation on our system. So in next 4 weeks, you come in and tell us, and we expect an email from all of you who participate after each session, a connection that you come into the session. On that email, return back to us an information at the end of each session, which means you tell us what you came in for and what you felt after the session, and then you monitor yourself in the next 4 sessions. If you achieved more happiness, more God knows whatever, we don't know. We don't want to interfere. This was your expectation, this is what you came in. And then let's see, after 4 sessions, what did you achieve? And then a month later, you send us an email that in process, in progress, what has changed over the month. This is part of the larger scale, what we call operation of the Keshe Foundation. There are a lot of things happening in the background of the Keshe Foundation that we cannot disclose or we don't want to open till we reach final. A lot of things were supposed to be done, as you know, with the help with what we call the damage we received financially, and some of you helped us with it, and we tried to structure a new, but now we've gone a different way to achieve the same through a much bigger structure. The whole idea is to build a space city. In that space city, no one should get sick. No one should go ill. No one should go hungry. No one should feel cold. And this is part of that structure. This is part of that understanding of what we call total process of the next step in reaching everyone at the same time. We have those of you who will join us in the sessions, you've always seen a number of lines open in the background, even when you're silent. We keep monitoring and feeding information or technologies in the background. So during the sessions, we add systems in the background. We test different systems. And maybe we ask you how you felt in this part, how you feel in that part, you feel happier, whatever. We'll come to that as we get into the session. So for the next 4 sessions of the Keshe Foundation, in cooperation with the knowledge seekers in July, we are looking to see what you came in for and what you received, how well you felt, or you came in for chocolate addiction and you see I eat more chocolate or I eat less chocolate. So we have given you not one particular thing. You can come in all 4 sessions for the same thing, it's not a problem. But you come in one session for this, next session for that, and another session for that. And each session, immediately after the session or the following day, you send us an email. We collect your data. We understand what it is, and we compare some of the things in the background. Because during the operation, we change a lot of parameters during the 3 hours. And then we see what parameter goes with what. So it's not excluded to one session, and then you say, I came one session, nothing happened. It's a completion of the full 4 sessions. But if you feel good, 1 session, 2 sessions, that's your decision. We more or less have a good idea of what will be the results in many cases. But now, in a way, it's a formation of the technology and then understanding more for the next cycle of what we call approach to development. The other point with the Keshe Foundation is that we will make announcements in a coming time where we call upon many knowledge seekers to join us in the research, in the deep research in different aspects. And we'll let you know how, what, and it's not just good being a knowledge and making Gans. We rely on your expertise outside the Keshe Foundation. That you emerge it, you amalgamate it with the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation, and we give you the direction to see what we can develop. This is very important for us as Keshe Foundation is going into a new era of its development. And maybe you are a space specialist, maybe you are electrical engineer specialist, and how you have worked with it in conjunction with what we call Keshe technology. We call upon you, and then we'll organize things with you to come in to start. In respect to the meeting of the 25 knowledge seekers who are coming for the special session, by early August, we make announcements for the meeting of the first 25, the place where we expect to be, and where we hope to be able to meet the 25 of you during 1 week, Friday, particularly Monday to Friday. The option for us sits on 3 major cities of Manchester, Greater United Kingdom, London, and Beijing. And the 3 sessions will be kept in one of these 3 cities. We have to decide which session we keep where, but the first session of 25 will be kept most probably in the city of Manchester, United Kingdom. And then the session for the 200 would be held in the city of London. The final destination, if we can organize, will be held in Beijing, in China, or we hold it in city of Frankfurt in Germany. We have to preliminary to let you know, with all chances, if everything goes okay, we announce the date, and the first session will be kept for 1 week in the city of Manchester, United Kingdom, for the first 25. And if we can secure everything in many aspects, we'll inform you the place, the time, or we move the first session to London, Frankfurt, possibilities. But on target, we aim to have the first 65 people throughout the session of 1 week in Beijing. But that has to be ratified, and it needs a lot of work to be done in what we call November, December. But we'll inform you in early August, exact position of first position, because many of you have to sort out visas, and we recommend you the hotels. We will not release the position of the conference. It will be kept confidential, but it will be in the city of Manchester or London. The other point for us is the progress in the teaching will carry on the same, and we will see how we can bring all the matters to one point. Going back to the teaching, we have tried in the past few weeks to bring a new dimension teaching, a new understanding in a way of space, time, and travel. What will be interesting for many of you is that it goes back again to book 1, book 2, book 3, but now we're putting a structure into it, more or less what happened in the past 2 or 3 sessions in respect to the speed, the size of the universe, and in respect to how you arrive at the destination. You are a plasma of a human as a soul. You have gone through transmutation in the way of traveling to a new position as an energy field. What's going to happen to you when you arrive? How would the emotion of the soul let you know if he wants to transmute and become part of the transfer? Which means I want to see the place, I want to be part of the place, I want to feel the emotion of the physicality of the place. Then it comes to the point, how do you integrate the emotion of the physicality to the emotion of the soul? How do you communicate through the soul of physicality to the soul of the man to create that dimension of physicality? To me, as a soul, this ground feels solid. But if I manifest myself in the shape of a citizen of that planet, that position, with what I transfer, what I transmute to transfer, would I become sinking or floating or standing on the surface? Would I like to be a fish behavior? Or would I like to be walking as a man? Or would I like to be like a bird flying the space of the place till I find somewhere I feel comfortable? Then I change from being a what we call a flying pattern to a solid pattern. I want to feel a fish life, or what we call submerge. Even you can, in the teachings of the future will teach you, you can land on the surface of a liquid.
Bear with us a minute. I think Mr. Keshe needs to mute for a period of time here. Can you hear us, Mr. Keshe? Your microphone is muted. Oops. See, he's restarting his microphone. Hello.
Sorry about that. Sorry, it was an emergency call I had to accept.
Okay, very good.
Sorry about that. The position is you want to float on the water or a liquid gas. You don't want to submerge. You have to make that decision. How do you make a decision to what matter state of the time, place, and position to convert into? A bird on Earth interacts with many conditions, and they know how to fly. They know how to transfer themselves with swinging the wings and whatever, duck and dive the rain or whatever. You're a newcomer. On the surface, there is no bird that you can take knowledge from through the soul. How do you decide, I know the birds, I want to fly on this planet? How do you do it? How do you go back into the dimension of the transmutation, but still in a transfer of the physicality? Alertness, interaction with the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man and the soul of the planet and the condition of the inertia will dictate how you'll manifest yourself. I don't like this. What happens if you lose control, if you don't understand the transmutation? What are the consequences of it? In part of the process of the next 4 weeks, you will go through this emotion. The part of the next 4 weeks is not just for you to come in for whatever. We're testing a lot of new conditions. You will tell us how you feel. In a way, you have to go through that to be able to repair a lot of things. Because you landed on the surface as a dimension of the different physical condition, and you burn your wing, you burn your leg, you burn your point of contact. How do you heal it? How do you repair it? Or how do you go back in the dimension of the soul and come back at a different dimension of physicality? A lot of the teachings will come into effect. And how would you feel if you land in a populated area of a given species in a given part of the universe? How do you interact with them? You are not in the shape of the man, the body of the man, us in this dimension has no life to live. Is in a vapor condition, but you want to manifest yourself in physicality. We know we are not the only citizens of this universe. So we should not be surprised if we come across population like ants, like cities we have, in a different shape of construction. Intelligence of the building is not exclusive of the human race. Science and technology is not exclusive of man. Races who have developed, like us, over millions of years, they have developed tools to live. They have created societies. They established the structure of life. Maybe they do not need to eat, the man does, they don't kill, but they live amongst each other. They respect each other's space and time. You land in, ooh, it looks delicious. You don't eat. You pick up the soul of the environment that this planet does not need to kill to eat. You take from the point of the saturation of the field of the universe. How do we see ourselves in the new environment? How do we transmute? How do you convert from physicality to the soul and from the soul back to physicality? This teaching has been sitting in the book number 1 from the first chapter. If you go through the first 3 chapters, the whole understanding of the transportation and conversion to a field, to matter, is fully explained, but you have to understand what he says. If you go in what we call the first 3 chapters of the book number 3, the same structure is set. I keep on telling you, go to chapter end of the book number 2 to the beginning of book number 3, you understand the process of the creation. But now you have to create yourself in the time and position. You still have the emotion, physical condition of the man in a physical, what we call capacity of the soul, of the physicality within the soul of the man. How do you change the skin? By changing the skin, it means how do you bring the soul of physicality out into this, out of the soul and bring the soul inside, and the reverse. This knowledge has to be understood. When you run in a physical dimension, that's a physical transfer. How do you transmute, which means bringing this physicality inside, with the soul of the physicality inside the soul of the man, where now is the soul feels a strength which interacts with the environment, not the skin of the man in the dimension of physicality. Then would us, with the soul of physicality of the man on the surface of the planet, end up to be a miniature things like an ant walking, or a giant of thing like a dinosaur compared to his environment? How do we adapt ourselves to be one of them, that we are not recognized from outside? These are the teachings which gradually we start teaching you. This is what, but we have to open your eyes into what is to come. It's no use telling you this is the system, this is the way you do it, when you haven't had time to think, you haven't had time to understand what are the implications of it, what are the applications of it. We've been teaching for past months and 2 or 3 years about the soul of the man, about the soul of physicality of the man, about the physicality of the man, that today's man has reached upon the soul. Now, the change of the game is what happened when the soul reaches upon the physicality of the man. How do you switch? What is the process of switching? How do we understand the way we need to switch? And how do we make ourselves available for this switch? That we are in full understanding of the process of the life. In what shape and to what point of need we convert. In what shape and point of need we collectively bring changes. We travel as a family, and we want the brother, the sister, the mom, the dad, and the children to be with us. And we want to convert all of us together. In a way, we've done the transmutation from A to B, from physicality of the man to the soul of the man. Now, how do we do as a whole, that no one knows we are from another planet? We become part of the society, even though the family know we are together. We are not the people from what they call origin race. And how do we learn the language or the line of communication? There are no schools, no universities, no foreign school languages. How do you tap into the soul of the knowledge? How do you tap into the soul of the life of the planet? These are the teachings which is coming up. These are the teachings, what again, I go back, the next 4 week sessions will bring us to the point to do. in how in the coming conferences we will explain to you how, and you will learn how to do the conversion, how to do the transmutation, how to understand what transmutation means and what effects we will have on life of every individual in this process. It's important for us to understand the totality of the transmutation and the totality of what we call understanding of the work in every aspect of the work. How you switch the soul of the man to become the container of the physicality on this planet, how you travel the span of this universe, and at the point of arrival, you change and you reverse the position where the soul of the physicality and the physicality of the man manifests itself to become the holder of the soul. In a way, you put your hand in and pull the skin inside out. But this time what you pull out, what you change, is the soul of strength or the soul of physicality. And then in the interaction of the two gives you the manifestation of physicality in that time, place, and position. But as you arrived in the dimension of the soul, in the strength of field of the soul, now you convert into the dimension of the fields of the physicality. Then you will see the shape of you. We can replicate these on earth without the shadow of a doubt. Knowledge seekers in the coming time will make facilities for all these to be able to be done in a matter of seconds. But till then, we have to teach you, you have to understand how you use the emotion of physicality in conjunction with the emotion of the soul of physicality, with the emotion of the soul of the man in the interaction with each other to create the transmutation. In fact, if you understand, the physicality of the man is book 1. The soul of physicality is book 2. And the soul of the man is book 3. If you understood the knowledge given in this 3, you should have already understood the transportation and transmutation. To what extent you can deviate from the line and experience new dimensions. And then to what extent you have understood at the point of arrival as a soul, you interact with the soul of the destination, with the soul of the citizens of the destination. And in that lines of interaction, you create your new physical being, which allows you to work, to live, and to be part of the time, place, and position. How do you switch? In book 1, how you transmute, and how you end up in book 3. And how do you create the motion between 1 and 3? Then you find out transmutation has no time, space, and position, which means the transmutation will bring man to travel in the dimension of will bring in to understand the totality. We have to, we see, and we have to understand the totality of the energy. Energy in the terminology of the Keshe Foundation, not energy in whatever man measures. Energy in understanding of the field in motion. Understanding that each field of strength has different emotion, what we call strength, and each one has different emotion. So your emotion, feel the strength of emotion, understanding of the motion of the fields, all come together in which line of the universe you will transport yourself. You will transmute yourself. You will come to the point that you can bring the change. So, first of all, in the coming months, in coming weeks, we have to teach you how to go through the conversion from the soul to become the holder of the physicality, and in that condition to become the holder, container, what I call interface with the soul of physicality. Then one of our most important points will be how we get you from Earth to Moon, from Earth to another position in the universe, with the dimension of the speed of the light of the universe. Considering the light of universe to man is dark, but in fact it's not. This is the light of the knowledge, the light of understanding, the what we call enlightenment. And then how to get you to the point, and then manifestation. Then you still have a problem. If you understand the whole process, you live in the soul of this man to meet the mother who died 20 years ago. She has no physicality in the dimension of what you were expecting. She has a new dimension. But the soul, the energy tells you this is the mother. What would you expect to see? What is your understanding of the emotion of the interaction? You see a field. You don't see the mother in physicality the way you knew, but you know this field is a field which is the soul of your mother. You interact with it the way you do exactly in your dreams. Because the dream to you is the reality of the interaction of the souls in the dimension of energy. All these in the next few years will be taught in a very, very detailed. There is no calculation. If you go back into my first teachings, first lectures ever 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I always said, God does not have a scale, a measuring tool that I'll put 50 grams of this and 200 grams of that and 10 liters of this. There is no grams and literage and mileage in the measurement of the creation of the universe by the creator. And now you are the creator. You can't put, oh, I put 20% of my soul and 30% of my physicality and I'm going to end up there. You have to learn in the dimension of the strength of the fields of the universe. Then we have to understand how we create these fields through emotion. Then you understand even the very first teachings in health, we always spoke about emotion, why it's important. It's not a blood flow, it's the emotion flow, which leads to the creation of the sense of the soul of the man. You look at the redness, I look at the strength of the measurements of the fields, the fingerprint of the human race, in the field energy. In the space, you have no blood, but you have field flow emotion. Now you understand how much more. In the past couple of weeks and in the next few weeks, I do a lot of talking, a lot of explanation, open your eyes to new dimensions. Because if I don't do that, it'll be very hard, like many of you before, he went from nanomaterial to Gans, and now he's come to fields, he's come from radiation. Now we teach you, because now this is the school of the space technology. We dealt with matter for 10 years. Now, that's why we taught for 2 or 3 years about the soul in the handling of the field of energy. Now we are moving. You have to understand. You have to, in a way, be educated to be ready to go through the transmutation by yourself. You do that in your dream. You do that in the time of when the physicality is resting, but you've learned to park it between the blanket and the bed. We call it the sleep time. Now there is no sleep time, because now you park it between the soul and the soul of physicality, and there is no physicality. Nothing except the emotion of the physicality, of the soul of physicality, and the emotion of the soul of the man, which allows you the point of manifestation of the physicality. Unfortunately, we have not made any measurement tools to measure the strength of the fields of the emotion of the man yet. And as I know very little, there is no such a system in the university. You go on the edge of a cliff, the fear stops you jumping over the cliff, it pulls you back. It's the emotion which does that. Fear is an emotion. Now you are on the same point. You're on the cliff of jumping from the physicality into the soul, and knowing there is the emotion of soul of physicality, which has helped me do something. I hide, I turn my back, I say it's not there, but let it do it, and I call it the dream and the sleep. That's what we do when we go to sleep. We hide under the blanket. We put something on ourselves, have the physicality that we are asleep, and we turn our back, we close our eyes, and we said, okay, now go. Dream, go wherever you want to go. You're free, and I call you a dream because I don't want to accept this. My capability is my responsibility, and it's actually part of me. Now, you have to understand this. This soul has no bed and blanket to hide in between, except the energy fields of the environment is in, and except the energy fields which is within it. We call it the soul of physicality of the man. Sometimes in and sometimes out. When you sandwich the soul of the man and the physicality of the man and the soul and the condition of the environment, you get the soul of physicality doing something and create what we call the physical structure. Now, in this process, you have a plasma of soul of physicality, you have a plasma soul of the man, and then you have a plasma soul of the space, time, and position. And you're trying to drag the soul of the man to go in the other side and pull the soul of physicality in the middle. And when you do that, you get the physicality. many of you who are used to dimension of the physicality, when you interface and interact with the first time your new physicality, a new dimension, you will be panicking, hiding as fast as you can. This is not me. Would I see with the eye of the man in the mirror of the position and time and see another body which is not mine, but inside I know I am a man. These things we have seen. We put you through the experience. We brought you to Linz. We let you go and you said, I see blood. I went to the moon. I went to the sea. I became this. I saw the soul of Christ and everything else. We allowed you to experience. Because it was not you who experienced. Because as a man, you're part of the soul of the race of the man. That knowledge has been embedded in the soul of every man alive on this planet. Now they have to tap into it. They have to progress to the level to be able to understand the transition. Many experience with it with you. In the time of the 400 or 500 of you came to Linz to go through the system, and we told you, come from all races, because we're storing. Now you understand what we have stored. Your emotion, everything else is part of this. You came in for a test. You actually added to the knowledge of totality. And this is how it will work. And this is how you will be. When you arrive in a time and place and position, you receive the knowledge from the soul of the citizens, and not from the school of the teaching and universities of the citizens. They haven't gone so advanced to bring in a structure of what we call the lying, cheating structure of the, what I want you to learn and what I want to indoctrinate you to know is the truth because it fits me. You learn from the soul of the citizens of the universe, and time and position and the place and the point of arrival, because you interact with their soul and not with their physicality, because you entered into the dimension, in the dimension of the soul, not the physicality. You didn't come off the plane, oh, these are Chinese and these are blacks and I'm European and I'm Asian. As I said, listen to one of the interviews. When somebody looks from outside, sees the soul, the brightness of the light, does not see the soul of the king, a peasant, or a dog. As the soul of the king and the dog look exactly the same from the brightness of the man observing the soul. So there is no difference between the dog and the king in the dimension of the soul, what should be in physicality, unless the man decides. And then we have to understand who is the real dog, the king or the dog. In the dimension of the universe, we have no hierarchy and we have nothing hidden. And this is what many of you come to understand. In your first trips, you come to understand. Have any of you had a dream talking to your mom? And in a dream, the mom tells you you're lying to me. Then in a dimension of the soul, everything is transparent. Everything is dimension of what we call line of the fields. So you learn the language of the fields, you learn the language of the emotion of the language, you learn everything else with it, what to eat, what not to eat, where to go, what not to go, as you were born in that society. This is what I tell you, in the coming time when you learn this, when you come from France into China and understand to arrive in the soul of the man, not of the plane of the man, You will understand Chinese, you speak the language of Chinese, you understand the emotion and everything about the Chinese culture. Because you arrive through the soul. You arrive through the field of emotion, not through the plane with the fuel in the back, dropping your physicality. The science of the man will change. The understanding of a life of the man will change. And then with it, the whole structure of the physicality of the man will change. We tested this without you knowing, through the process of the last minute of new knowledge seekers in elevating the soul of the abusers some couple of weeks ago. And it was so beautiful to see how the soul of the man has taken over the soul of physicality, and the physicality had no life. It was a straight liner, a flat liner. And how the physicality stayed on the line and watched the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man battling it out to find balance for the soul to be in an opposite position equal to the soul of physicality, that physicality stays flatliner and there is no abuse. If we show you the graphs and the electronic information we collected, it just puzzles you if you understand it. Now it comes to the point that how in a coming time we can transmute you through the soul. You can transmute yourself through the soul and then give yourself dimensional manifestation of physicality at the end of transmutation. This is what is part of the teaching. This is what, if you listen to the past 2 or 3 teachings, I start opening, telling you that when you bring you to the point, you already understand. You learn enough about physicality. We had to show you everything about the dimension of the soul, and then dimension of the matter state, the Gans, and the rest. Now we put you through the transmutation. We put you through going from book 1 to book 3. But this time is you. It's not the reactor, it's not the system. The system is you. Understanding of it. And it goes back to what I always said. As knowledge seekers, you take from these teachings according to your intelligence. According to what you decide to be the reality in life, which becomes your understanding. We go through a break and we come back and try to explain. The teachings are really short, half an hour, 45 minutes nowadays, because it's so intense if you understand it. There's no more mixing things. The only thing you mix is your energy of your soul of physicality, and your physicality, and see what you get and what you experience with a new transmutation. And gradually, as we go through the teachings in the coming months and years, one by one of you start going through the transmutation. You learn it, you understand it. Don't take it just a voice. Understand what the voice means, which is teaching. And just you understand, when I tell you, when we teach for the whole of universe, because universe taps in the soul of the Creator. We go for a break and we come back, and then we'll see what we can do and answer any questions. Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Excellent teaching today. Okay, well, we'll take a short break here and be back in a few minutes.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation, and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo, and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a space technology that allows us to work with the fields of the universe, creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions. It allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the body can follow to find their balance and elevate the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge.
Okay, welcome back to our 494th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 13th, 2023. And we'll enter into the second part of our show, which usually means Mr. Keshe is willing to answer questions from people. And I'll remind our attendees here that they can raise their virtual hands and we can allow your microphone to be opened if you would like to ask a question personally. Otherwise, we do have the chat and Q&A here in the Zoom, as well as chats open in live stream and YouTube for people to ask questions. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to continue? Don't see your microphone open right now, so perhaps that's an answer to my question. Let's wait a minute.
No, I couldn't find. Sorry, I couldn't find the button, as you say.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, carry on. Let's see what other questions.
Well, we do have a couple of questions in the Q&A that refer back to the first part of your discussion today. From Iowan, who says, "Good morning, Mr. Keshe. I have two short questions. One, the earphones or only headsets can be used for the July sessions. So can we use both earphones and headsets, or does it have to be only headsets?"
I don't understand.
I believe it's, the earphones are the ones that just go into the ears, and the headsets rest on the ears. So either ones can be used for the July sessions, correct?
Either one can be used. Either one can be used. Can you give me 5 minutes? Something urgent has come up, please. I'll come back in, just put another intro, please. Thank you very much.
Well, Dean, you had a hand up. Maybe it's a good time to say something to the public here. Perhaps you've been at the center in Linz and directing groups and so on, and in the kind of the end days, you could say, of the center in Linz. How are you feeling about that? How is that going? Maybe
Hi, Rick.
Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. It's been as usual with humanity and with all of us. In Austria, it's become for many knowledge seekers a center of thought-provoking field strengths of emotions, and then some clarity coming through where you feel emotionally stable. The center has become a platform and a position where knowledge seekers have come forward, and some that I've been present with have said that they feel extremely comfortable in those positions. They feel like they've received energies, and when they're in the building itself and in surrounding areas, they feel a comfort. And we know this is directly related to their experiences on a soul level, where they are the soul is bringing them forward. The soul's present within the foundation, and all the souls that are present, because it's not just the foundation knowledge seekers. There's many souls present, and you sense it and feel it. And I've understood that many knowledge seekers have experienced deep self-awareness, and understanding that they probably didn't even know what it was, and then it just starts to open up, like plasma does. The first initial seed, the first bit where you walk in through the door, or you experience it on the internet. You meet a knowledge seeker. The knowledge is shared. You give them some of the knowledge, and then all of a sudden it resonates so hard and so profoundly with the very essence of yourself that you just want to know more. And then as soon as you want to know more, it opens up to you and it becomes something much, much bigger. So it starts off as it did for me. It started off with just listening to Mr. Keshe and one of his teachings a long time ago. And the moment that the universal knowledge is betrayed to you, that field strength, then everything changes. And the knowledge, when you share the knowledge, as Mr. Keshe does, the knowledge seems to talk directly to you. So when you receive the knowledge yourself and then you share it once more, it's the same feeling for the others that are coming forward. It touches them very deeply. When I was in the exhibition just the other day, I was speaking to some people, and I just give them a little bit more knowledge of what I've come to understand. And you can see it in their eyes, you can see it in their structure, the way that they respond to it, and you can see the slight elevation, the part of the enlightenment happen within the structure of them. You see it in their eyes, and you can see when people have emotional imbalances that in the physical body or in the emotional body, and as soon as they walk, as I said, they walk in the door of the centers and are guided into the centers by their own soul. They start to receive the balance, and it's a beautiful experience to see, and sometimes it's very subtle, very, very subtle, and but it's present, and other times it's like bam, it's there. It's sort of like you see it very physically, and I've experienced it many times where people get very emotional, and some people, like we all do, they have different emotions, and they will be very quiet and subdued, and you wouldn't know, but you sense it behind the structure. You sense that there's a big emotional changes happening. So for me, it's a constant evolution of sharing the knowledge, and now we're coming to a position that Mr. Keshe has explained this morning, where it's the next stage, and I'd like to ask Mr. Keshe some questions about how it's really going to feel to transmute, to how is man going to go through this emotional understanding to be able to comprehend suddenly being in a different position with a different set of, even if it's the physical body, like Mr. Keshe was speaking about, if you go into another body, how are we going to feel about suddenly not having, the body that we're used to, and still feeling it's me, but in another environment that we don't even know. So we don't, we may land on, in another position. Even on planet Earth, we could land in another position that feels totally, for want of a better word, alien to us. However, we have to interact with it, and we have to be part of it. And are we going to feel connected enough that we can emotionally be stable enough to interact in that environment and enjoy it, and be in joy, in balance? How will that happen? So that would be one of my questions to Mr. Keshe when he comes back. Is there anything else you think I should explain, Rick, or was that enough?
Well, there's the thing about the background image today. And of course, because we're broadcasting on YouTube, you have to be extremely careful of any testimonials of the medical kind, as you know. But you did give a very good testimonial in the public meeting for testimonials last Monday. And people can go to our live stream channel, which I've put the connection, that live stream channel connection, into our chats here. And if you'd like to refer to a more detailed explanation by Dean about the knee Gans, but Perhaps you can, say something about that, Dean. That's not going to be impinging on our responsibilities in terms of the medical, so-called medical misinformation, and just tell people that you had good results from using that product.
Yeah, of course, Rick. Yeah, I will be. We'll keep it in balance, as we know we have to, Rick. So for me, I had a condition that I've experienced a long time ago, where I used to play the game of soccer, football as it's called in the UK and most parts of Europe. It caused me where my knee had a condition where the fluid in the middle of the knee sort of some part of the cartilage sort of popped out from experiencing this football game. And I never got it medically looked at or anything, because I was very young and fit at the time. And I just went back to my training schedules and just healed it in that way physically myself, by just doing physical hard sports and activities. I went through a phase where, as I've got older, it started to get, because I'm not physically strong anymore, it started to cause me problems, and started to, the structure of it started to, I had a lot of pain. When I was walking up and down stairs and other, up and down mountains, I should say. And so I mentioned this in the foundation of Mr. Keshe, with all his beauty. I said to him about it. And then very shortly afterwards, this knee Gans came out. And I thank Mr. Keshe for that deeply. And so I've used this knee Gans. And I used it according to the instructions. And so what you see here is the knee, obviously knee Gans on the right-hand side. In the middle is the containment of the Gans itself. And I've shaken this jar so you can just see some of the Gans just sort of fluttering down. And then on the left-hand side, that brown bottle you see is actually the plasma water itself. And then you see the syringe and the bandage, the knee bandage that I would spray the knee bandage with some of the plasma water. And so I went through the procedure. The procedure is very simple. You do a test first, where you would put a plaster in the middle of your arm, opposite side to your elbow, the inside part of it. And you would just test it for 24 hours to make sure you don't get any reactions to the plasma. And then if that's okay, then you then according to the instructions, you mix up the Gans, shake it, let it settle to the bottom. So all what you see in the middle here would be floated all the way down to the bottom, and it would be clear, like you see in the brown bottle. And then this brown bottle, the plasma water, you would then spray some different amounts of spray, creating a flow. So you may have 2 or 3 sprays on the front of the knee and 1 on the back of the knee. So you're creating a gradient. And then basically you keep doing this for 7 days. And then after 7 days, you assess what's taken place in the structure of your knee. And if you sense and feel that you need it once more, then you can reapply. So you wait 7 days with no interactions, you're not using it at all. And then you would start to use it again for another 7 days, spraying as once or twice a day. I would spray the bandage and then reapply it to the knee. We say knee Gans, but it's obviously for any joints, so it can be used across the body, really. And I experienced many beautiful things. First of all, I experienced a reconnection of the neurological system, it seemed to me, where when I first started using it, within the very first couple of sprays, I think I went to bed that night, and I felt a connection from my brain down the top of my neck, my back, that I knew was reconnecting the neural pathway from my brain to my knee, reconnecting it. And I think creating that flow again. And because that flow was connected, It meant that the knee then had a position to be able to start to regrow and reposition itself using the Gans. And Mr. Keshe has made this specifically to help people, and to help any creatures created and human beings to recondition something that's happened. It actually is there to I don't want to go into medical terms, but it helps to rebalance the condition that you have and bring the ligaments and the tendons and cartilages back into balance. And I personally have experienced that it has done this. It has taken a little bit longer than I would have liked, but this is because I had quite a severe thing that I'd left for quite a long time. One thing I did notice when I was using it as well was I had like a sense of feeling of my knee getting bigger around the front to begin with, and then it seemed to move around the knee, and then one time I remember feeling it on the back of my knee, and I could feel the different areas of the knee responding, and it seemed to be readjusting, regrowing. And reconditioning itself. And so this is probably 2 or 3 months ago now, and now my knee is I wouldn't say it's 100%, but it's back to sort of 95%, and it means I can have an active life again and not be in pain when I just do the most simple things like walking up and down stairs, which is a massive thing, because this one technology alone that Mr. Keshe has released, if you multiply this, the amount of times somebody would strain themselves or hurt themselves or be in a position where they're in discomfort, then this opens up a huge this one product opens up a huge structure within the totality of positions on planet Earth with our physical bodies. And so for me, it's a very, very important product that I know many people from the sports arenas, from lots of different positions. I mean, not just sports. I mean, just everyday physical life. For many people that work very hard, they have a repetitive problem or something they might do. Then this would suggest would be a wonderful way of redressing and bringing yourself back to balance. And it is a beautiful gift from Mr. Keshe to humanity. And as I said, this is just one, and it touches the full structure of humanity and all the creatures. As I said, there's one product. Can you then, when we start looking into, as Mr. Keshe said, 20 or 30,000 products, can you imagine the full spectrum of energies we're going to receive to bring back the balance of the physicality and emotional state that we all experience as souls present on planet Earth and elsewhere. Is that good?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dean. That was more than enough, probably. But it gave a break for Mr. Keshe to do his thing there too. So thank you.
Yes, I'm very busy in the background with a lot of things and sorting a lot of things out. These kind of things which we put out, Dean speaks about, this is a wellness. We are not in a health business. This is what brings comfort. And don't forget, these materials all been, the gases have been received as certification when we produce them, test them in China, and it has a health certification for it. It's a normal gas of materials, but in a specific way which we have developed for these things. And we are not in a health business. We are in a wellness, in feeling better. And as Dean said, he feels the emotion in his body before reaching the physical condition. There are a lot of people using in different ways. As I said, Keshe Foundation is entering a new, totally new environment of work. And in the recent past, we have tested a new dimension in process of converting fields into energies into matters and conversion of the matters in the new dimension work into the structure of the body of man. We had the pleasure in the past few days, as part of the same process, to see physically what we call the helix structure of the amino acid in a very, very specific way. I set it up to see it, and when it was there, it was amazing. Where you see it in a matter of what we call visual structure. And we'll bring in new dimensions, new materials and products in the coming months and 2 or 3 years. Yeah, we have merged the Keshe Foundation, one of the strongest nations on this planet, as a collaboration with a nation. And we are set on course to bring huge changes. As one said very recently, the giants of power and science have finally met. And that'll bring the change. The trap we were set up by Europeans to keep the Keshe Foundation silent has failed drastically. And one of the most powerful nations on this planet has joined force with the Keshe Foundation to bring the technology as its utmost to serve humanity. Knowledge in exchange for peace has taken shape. And this bottle is a small bottle compared to what is to come, and deeply involved. And we have left it to the governments to announce the collaboration and extent of the collaboration between the two organizations. It will be fundamental that technologies like this, so simple, can change people's life. As Dean said, you cannot go up the stairs. And then you find out life has changed. The reason I released this wellness product was I got injured badly last year in a hiking accident or work. And the doctors told me I need to replace my kneecap. The cartilage has totally gone. And about eye showed both legs were kneecaps, cartilages, and part of the knee itself through this accident has been damaged beyond and needs operation. I said to the doctors, I don't need it. I know how to repair. And he said, when you've done it, come back. I couldn't go upstairs to the surgery to take pictures. I had to take rest. Very painful. And strange enough, on Sunday, I was at the location and I was told that the electricity will be cut at 12 o'clock. And I was on the 8th floor. And I had to be outside. And I climbed the whole staircase, the whole 8th floor, around about 15 steps on each floor in one go, without any pain, without any actually thinking about it. And you see the change. For me, walking 100 meters was impossibilities for some time. And one of the knowledge, because I said that when one of the teachings said, I felt you have a pain. There was a pain. And I said, yeah, there was. My cartilage doesn't need to be replaced. It's fully restored. And what you see in the bottle is what I used. And I thought the knowledge has to be shared. It's a kneecap operation, joint operation on the knee, because the MRI, we still have the MRI, we kept it for reference, shows totally there is no cartilage. And you cannot go up the stairs, 8th floor, at my age, in less than a minute or two, if you do not, and if you're not fit. And this is how the knowledge is. I shared my technology with all of you, like everything else. And this is what it is. Many of you have tested it. There are different ways of testing this, adding it. It's a wellness product. And this is exactly how it should be. Knowledge at the reach of man at the point of demand. And I many times thought I'll go back to the surgery in Vienna and tell the guy, how many people would you like me to help? It's not a medicine. It conditions the environment in the plus of the field. And I've seen the results. Don't forget, I originally used this in June of 2010 or 2011 when I fell off a horse. I rebuilt the whole structure of broken bones within 7 days. There is a lot of knowledges which is to be shared, to be understood, to be in a way applied. This technology creates condition. It's not healing, it's not medicine. And we've seen many people have used different type of structures for this purpose. We have reached in the level of technology. We have come to the point that this today's I had very emergency things happening. Just please one second.
Okay, bear with us a minute or two while Mr. Keshe does this thing and reconnects in a minute.
Rick, one thing I forgot to mention, is Dean here again, is what's beautiful about these products, about we're not trying to sell products. It's not about this. It's about the gift of creating fields, plasmatic fields that bring, as Mr. Keshe said, wellness back to people. So you have here something that I know in the matter state condition of this this containment of this jar, this plastic container. A liquid plasma, and Gans, gas in a nano-solid state. And you have the capability, and what is the beauty, the real beauty of the knowledge, is that you can share it. So physically, you can split this up and you can give it to other people, other creatures created, to bring, their structures and their emotions into balance. And for me, that is the real, the beauty of this knowledge, is the fact that it can be shared. It's, it's given, and it's in the sheer power of this technology is in the fact that in that very small little bottle is a technology that is beyond what we've experienced before, and can bring, as I said, a balance back to all sorts of conditions that we have. And the fact that we can share it with our, with our loved ones, our friends and family, communities, nations, is the beauty of this technology. And that is, for me, that is the most incredible thing.
Thank you very much. And sorry, I'm back again. In the recent past days, we have tested in a specific way fields interaction as part of a very larger scale test. And again, this will come into flourishing in the next few months. You will see it. Where we release another range of technological, scientific materials which can help with daily life. Restoration of the energies in the body in a very, very specific way that will change a lot of things for many of us. What we foresee in the next maybe 12 months, maybe 2 years, in collaboration with our new partners, where we enter feeding nations, where we enter a cycle of wellness care for nations. For example, today, you send food packages to disaster areas or for famine areas. I foresee next 5 years, our partners will market feeding a whole nation with the new technologies, emerging technologies, where we become responsible for feeding a nation. Technology has been tested, technology is available, but in that way, we don't need to farm. In Africa, in third world nations, where food is one of the biggest problems for governments, will be resolved. Where, through very much like what you see, we'll put that into reality of the delivering of the food through plasmatic conditions. New plasma, a new definition in the world of plasma. It's a matter of how we come to an agreement. And in a way, it's not something new. You, as knowledge seekers, we promoted a few months ago, and it's still on the Keshe Foundation website, that you can join in a food contract where we feed you through the Keshe Foundation apps for so much per family. Now, this, or your wellness covered by this. Now this, with the new structure which is coming in the Keshe Foundation, makes us possible in collaboration with the governments we work with to become nationwide, which means, for example, let's say the nation of France accepts to feed citizens of, let's say, Algeria, for 2,000 per head for a whole year, irrespective of position in Algeria. This technology now is available. There is a reason we push this forward. And the reason for that is very simple. Technology is jumping in a very, very rapid way. The development of the Keshe Foundation technology is growing so rapid that now it's possible accepting in the next 5 years, for example, to feed a nation. You don't need to export rice and grain and control the policy. You come to an agreement on a percentage of GDP to do this, which means we take 2%, 3% of the GDP, whatever it is, whatever nation you are, and that becomes a payment for feeding the whole nation. And this ties up with the nation we have joined into work that we can do this. This gives us a spare structure to learn more, where a lot of problems with poverty brings a lot of diseases, malnourishment of children, now we can cover. And there's a lot of new breakthrough knowledges and technologies which we have started releasing. And we will carry on releasing this in the coming months and years with our new collaborators. We have signed agreements with the nation. The Keshe Foundation has entered into full collaboration with one of the most powerful nations in writing, not in talk. And we are in that process to allow many positions to be cleared. The wellness center of the Keshe Foundation will be spread across this planet in a very specific way. We have allocated the first wellness center to work with doctors, but has no operation within the Keshe Foundation. In the next couple of weeks, we'll announce the first Keshe Foundation Wellness Center set up and up running. But you don't need to go to the wellness center. You can be anywhere around the world. We see the opening of the second wellness center in Arizona and Uruguay. Most probably in a very systematic way, we, in collaboration with our partners, will start the service centers like this. But Germany, Arizona, and Uruguay will become part of our structure of the work by Christmas, where through Uruguay we serve the southern hemisphere of the American continent. We need to understand the separation will come in a very big way. We do not sell our systems, but we install with the doctors to operate for a nation or for a place. We lost a lot of money, and that brought us to understand and open new collaborations. And those of you who invested with us, some of you have received some of your money back already, and some will receive it back in the coming due course in the next few months. And but it brought us what we wanted to do as a foundation individually in collaboration with the government, which I always say, thanks God we lost the funds, because then we had to go through the whole process. Now we are not involved in that process because we are just research developers. And the nation will do the rest. And the nation we have signed an agreement and entered into work is one of the most powerful nations and the richest nations on this planet. The leadership of the nation have understood and backed us, tested the technology, and we keep out till they announce publicly about the Keshe Foundation technology as one of the prime works of what we call the nation as a new emerging science. It's a sadness to see so much work was done in Europe, but in a way it built us up to what it should be. And now the Keshe Foundation has entered a new era that technologies like this will be available to every man, more or less, on this planet, because we don't have to worry about it. Every product carries the name of the Keshe Foundation on it. It will not be something hidden behind somewhere from the gas production to oil production, comes to satellite, space travel, food, agriculture, everything will carry the Keshe Foundation name on it. This is how they respected the technology. Is technology as a knowledge seekers we develop will we'll see, and we'll come up into the structure to announce it in due course. But we still work, and the Keshe Foundation team has not stopped working on this ground for past months. Any other question?
Yes, we have a hand up that's been patiently waiting. Azar, would you like to go ahead, please?
Good morning, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Keshe, you talked about it a little bit, but I had, of course, Hassan said it's fake, but this is what I heard. Elon Musk was talking about. They created AI that every single person can use that program to get funds every day. So you don't have to have jobs that you don't like, or don't have be poor, or don't have food or shelter. And it's 91% is accurate, and you can do it. So my question is this, because I know in the past we always talk about how can we bring the plasma science, this technology to the society, that we don't create more chaos and mayhem. Say, when we talk about the energy field replacing oil, if we suddenly give everybody a generator, or they have everything, we have so many people work in the oil business, refineries, and so on and on and on, and then they lose job. So, for example, in Middle East, so many people like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, all those countries, people we don't want to make people poor. But then with the advancement of plasma technology at the moment, it is 100% we know is possible if we create an app. There's one app for food. For example, when I touch the app, I say I want a banana, I feel the banana, and I get the energy of it, and I don't have to eat the banana. Or, for example, in terms of shelter, the shelter doesn't have a home, doesn't have to have a wall or a roof, because we know with the plasma field, I can be on the mountain, someplace in anywhere, and don't feel the wind, don't feel the cold, or don't feel the heat. And because I'm protected, I have the shelter, is a field. Just like the field we create that we can grow tomato or wheat in the middle of winter with the snow, because we create like the dome. So we can have an app for both. So if we have an app for both and people have it, so everything else is going to be resolved, because when I have my food and shelter, I don't need a job. So all the killing is going to stop and everything is going to be done. So why can't we do that?
Do what?
Create this app.
We talked about these apps will come a few months ago. But to structure it has taken a long time, and to structure it will take another maybe a year or two. But there has to be a new approach done to the app. We don't think about things on the basis of man on this planet. We are a space structure. So if you go back on the headphones and the new combination homes units which we put out, there's no app in it. There's no way you can app to it. The technology has developed, has gone further. If you're on planet Zeus, there's no apps and no televisions and no computers that you can app it to feed yourself. But you carry the strength of the field of the human race or planet Earth. Or you see in a creature which is need of energy, you can transfer that to this app business. We already passed by introduction of new technology. New technologies will be released has a combination of work. You can tap into it. This is part of the teaching. You don't need an app. You don't have a computer. You're in the middle of a desert. You lost your mobile phone. Sorry, you die. This is the present state of day-to-day. If you learn to tap into universal energy, if you learn to tap into energy centers, which is set up across, we call it service centers, you're fed.
Mr.
You
Keshe,
have a headache.
yeah, Mr. Keshe, I understand
These
this.
are what is the reality.
Mr. Keshe, I understand
Yeah.
this because this, as a knowledge seekers, we understand this. But one thing is, like right now at the present moment, there are people in the planet that have been displaced, or they have certain needs and stuff like this. So this app, it can be a transition for those people.
Yes, it can be a transition for those people, but this is what we said months ago. But the development is going to the next step. We showed and we have tested a lot of things in the background, and it's getting developed to be tested. We don't set a system. I'm trying not to give too much, but at the same time trying to explain a lot. Just 1 second.
This seems to relate to Mark's question in the chat as well. He had the question, would this product or technology be transferred into an application in the future? So we seem to be getting an answer to your question there, Mark.
Yeah, you see, Rick, because you see, we and Mr. Keshe talk about we using because we start to recognize the field, and not only we can use the energy of it as a food or traveling or transmutation or teleportation, but because we're not bound to this planet, we can go anywhere we want. But now there are people that they don't have this knowledge. I was at the meeting yesterday, last night. It was a lecture. There were 10 doctors there. There was a lecture about implant and new technology in an implant. And then the doctor was from Italy, and then describing how the implant can be done. When I was looking at it, all these doctors are so looking at it as such an advanced technology. When I'm looking at it, I mean, I couldn't explain anything, but for me, I was just like, I was shivering my bone, because all those metal and flame and everything in the mouth with everything, I mean, I feel I was like 200 years ahead of what they're talking about. But even if I want to explain to them what can happen in the future, what it entails, they wouldn't even understand it. So there are these people. I mean, we have these people, and we have people who are suffering in terms of food and shelter. We have people who are doing crime because they don't have any means of support emotionally or physically. So this transition can help them.
The transition can help. We can do a lot of things. A lot can be done, but We can do it the old way, or we can do it the newly developed. And we are not the end. We are not answer to everything. We are even ourselves a transition till I'm sure other people will come into it and they do it bigger than this, better than this. But the new structure of technology allows us to upgrade. We can do it by apps, which will be done in the coming time, but we're going to step further than that. And there is two ways to do it: to stick to what we've done because it works, or to bring the new technology and add to it. This is what you do. When you come tomorrow online, you bring us your Zoom number in, and then down, once we establish that, we connect to your soul. That's all it's going to be done. So in the next sessions of Keshe Foundation development, we don't send you a Zoom number. We interact with you in a different way. But you receive much more whatever information, be it wellness, be it hunger, or whatever, through the new lines of communication. If you are in the desert, you run out of battery, your app is good for nothing. But if you carry the new system, it never runs out of battery. It is connected to everything you need. We try to jump very fast, and I see this even in the past few weeks, is a struggle for governments to understand the transition can cost a lot of money, can cost a lot of time. But if we don't pass this transition, if we jump the transition to a new level without the transition, we'll gain a lot. And in the next few months, this is part of what we have to convey and put into, especially in the October meeting with the ambassadors in London, to show the transition is that, you see, it's very simple. In America, you use the most gratuitous, oldest system for your internet because the cable was set 40 years ago. Nobody knew these things come up, but you still, to cover those costs, you're still behind Kenya and Africa in all sorts of things, in communication, computers, and the rest of it. Because they didn't spend these infrastructures. So people financed it for themselves and the government supported it through. And we are trying to explain this to the governments, that we have to jump the transition. We have systems we can show you can jump the transition. And it costs nothing for governments. The beauty with this transition to a new science, governments don't like to spend money, but they like to earn money out of the science and technology, but have control over it. And this new development gives them all of it. So, do we go to the apps? We still go through the Zoom, but are we going to spend a lot of money on it to develop it? Or we already know the next generation here, cope with it till the next generation of science comes in and it kicks in and it's done. It is very much like the oil industry. We sell you the fuel to burn in your car, because if you don't do it costs a lot of money to do it, or we come up with the new tricks of electric cars. It's so advantageous to the refineries and to the oil companies, unbelievable to compare to the present cars. But are we going to the electric? In electric cars, which they need to be charged on the wall, or are we going electric cars which never need to be charged? There's a lot of games played even with this. It's the same what we talk about feeding people. A lot of people, if you understand what electric cars means, if the present pattern is kept, it's gifted to the refineries, gifted to the oil companies. To produce electric power at the power stations, we use the most crudest oil, costs nothing to refine. We don't need to have petrol stations, we don't need to pay people to sell it, we don't need to transport it, and all sorts of mess. As a refiner, the biggest gift given to is these electric cars, because we sell the oil of not clean, not clear, to be burned into power stations. Governments are happy instead of paying $10 a litre, let's say a barrel, a gallon. They pay $1 a gallon, but they charge you electricity at the end. It's a win and win for the government and oil companies, the electric cars. But if you try now to bring the new technologies, which allows you to do 10,000 kilometers for one charge, government will stop you. If you bring a car which doesn't need charging, there is no way they allow you to come, because they lose revenue. All this game you see with electric cars is one of the most profitable businesses for the government. There is no environmental cleaning, car exhaust. The burning of the fuel in the power stations to produce your electricity is 100 times worse than your cars. Example, look at the ships and the amount of pollution they create. Governments don't care. But if you're the scientist, you come up with a car, which now Tesla does 600-700 per cycle of charging kilometers. If you bring this one to 10,000 kilometers, which the technology exists today, the governments don't allow it to come in, because they have not planned for the revenue from it to be less, unless they charge you the revenue which gives you the 10,000, the same as you charge a 700. We are in the same position. Technologies, sciences, which the Keshe Foundation, I'm sure many other scientific organizations done, will not be allowed to come into the market so easily, because we shake the apple cart. If you took a bottle of the knee Gans and you spray some water on your knee, as Dean says, this changes life, 90%, 95%, then what's going to happen to all the operating room, all the other things which they were supposed to, all the doctors we educated to do the knee operation, and all the incomes which brings with it? What about the pharmaceuticals and the others who are going to look after you after your knee operation? If you spray off water, done. A life of pain away, no operation done. The governments don't allow technology. We are now in a position that we can eradicate a lot of problems health-wise on the wellness. But It has to come in the right way. We can feed people, it has to come the right way. And if I can tune, if you understand the gravity, what I'm going to state today, if you understand what I'm going to say, you understand how advanced we are. If I can tune through the headphone to your soul to feed you, to change you, do you think we haven't reached the point of not needing the headphone and reach your soul and feed it? Now you understand. But we have to get the governments to do it. And the best test of it is, let's do it in the space. Because there is no food in space. We have to feed our astronauts. We have to feed our space people. Just flip the satellite 180 degrees, you feed the planet directly through the soul. It's not that we don't have the technology. It's not that we don't have the knowledge. It's if we release this technology, not if, it's already been released. In past week, we have shown what, in past 2 weeks, we have shown the government things that you cannot even imagine possible. It does not exist even in the sci-fi movies and in the imagination of the man today. They had to taste it, they had to touch it, they had to feel it. And even that has caused them more headache than where we are today. The leading scientists of a nation, the most powerful men of the nation, have stood in this environment, had to accept the technology is beyond even the knowledge of the man. They had to feel it. And even feeling it, they are baffled in how such a simple technology can create such a mayhem. For me to feed the man, it takes no time. I don't need no satellites, doesn't he? But man has to understand it, that in a space can teach himself not to do what is done on this planet. Most powerful man on this planet Earth are watching their eyes, the baffledness of what is happening around us in the past 2 weeks. What is next? We have the knowledge, we have the technology, but as I said, the political arena, the financial arena, the PowerPoint arena of this planet in past 2 weeks has changed. And gradually will change a lot of things. But we're in the space technology. Governments have to find a way that it becomes a human technology on Earth. I can cover myself with saying this is what we do in the space. But governments have to turn it for nationals and the other governments to accept it. We're so advanced in technology, it's beyond your imagination. And we don't talk we have shown it.
Mr. Keshe, I have talking about all this, bring me back to another question I have is, you see, I started to teach this from beginning of the knowledge seeker number 1, and we are right in the beginning. So when I listened to those, I wasn't included there at that time. You were saying, with the movement of my pen, I can make everything understand. stop. All your warmongering, all the killing of it. And we're very radical about it. We're very seriously-
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is why we so keen on attaching ourselves to the government and government.
Let me tell you one thing, Azajan. We have moved our pen. In past few days, we have released a pen of knowledge to the leaders of the world. Not by talk, by delivering of the technology and showing it. And it takes time to go across to the other world leaders and go across to the understanding of the others and the nationals, and then to the back of the African villages and to the palaces of the kings. It's not that we haven't. We, as you say, we said if I move my pen, that pen has moved in past few days. And there has been knowledge seekers witness to it. And the same with the world leaders. The knowledge seekers stood shoulder to shoulder with some of the most powerful men on this planet to see the technology and its beauty. And now it's in the hand of the leaders to understand it themselves. And then it takes time to sink in how to implement it. And how to understand that the technology is not for the man on earth, but it's man in space. When even we send you to the another part of the universe, you're still connected to earth through the line of the fields of your birth. We still can feed you. Not food and apple and orange, but through the fields that you need to survive this one of the universe life. We have shown one of the most powerful technologies ever existed to the world leaders in the past few days. And they are puzzled how this technology, like the cup you saw, the bottle you saw, in simplicity, can change the course. We will use the London conference with the world ambassadors to bring in a massive change in the course of humanity. It's not just a simple presentation.
Mr. Keshe, I have one last question. Say you left this planet and then and maybe I die or leave this planet too, and then if I bump into you, do I know you? Do I know that I know you?
All your dream is how to bump into me somewhere. As a soul, we don't bump. We are aware of each other.
We are aware of each other, but do I know that I knew you on this planet?
Of course. Of course.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Just be careful where you bump to and who you bump in the soul level. It could be much stronger fields, and it can end up in the other part of the universe. You know, the bump will be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Keshe Foundation in structure will stay the same. but in operation and delivery of the technology in the coming months will change drastically. And one of the reasons we are moving totally out of Austria is that we have moved into a new position with our collaborators, which through the strength of power of the political and the financial and military and defense and the space, gives us the opportunity to open new doors and allows the nations to become more powerful, to be more peaceful. The current policy of the United States to be more, to sell more, to more powerful in arms, we have changed it to be much stronger in technology and science that makes the arms of the United States obsolete. The Iranian military force has shown the power of this technology in defense in January of 2020 in Iraq. Not to be aggressive, but to be defensive. To be in a way to defend what was planned to deliver in a massive way. And it literally decentralized all the plans which Trump and his son-in-law planned in Tel Aviv for Iraq. And with it brought to show whatever was sold to the Middle East to the Milesian countries as a defense against Iran could not even defend the manufacturers and producers of defense because they couldn't defend themselves. Now we are entering the next phase where with technology we make everything obsolete of the past in so many ways. Not only is defense, space, not only space, the food, the energy transfer, the health transfer. The same machine can feed billions of men on this planet. One machine. The same as the soul of the Creator fed the whole universe. So we have the knowledge on both sides. And now we have contemplated and we have come to an agreement with one of the most powerful nations on this planet to bring that cycle in. But they need themselves to understand in a slow pace what is coming in. The gun policy to sell, to be, to create fear will replace with knowledge and technology which brings comfort and peace and equality, not only on this planet. Then it goes back to the time when everything is peaceful, man will progress in knowledge and technology in a much, much more rapid way. And that heaven which was promised has arrived. And we didn't need to do much. We just had to show the power of the technology in its peacefulness and its beauty. And we have shown. It's now just getting slowly in the next few months and years. The rest of the world, it is on the same hymn sheet, as we call it, and singing the same song. Making more aircraft carriers, making more nuclear weapons, making more weapons of mass destruction has joined the what I call the time of the bows and arrows of the knowledge of today. If you remember, when you go around Europe and most of the places around the world, they used to dig trenches around the castle that no one can cross the water and they could protect the castle. Till the first man came, first was the arrows, and then when a cannon came, and then when the plane came, these castles were nothing, became museum. The present nuclear war mongering and the systems now has become those castles with all the what we call waters around them obsolete, because you could cross it, you could bridge it. Now we can bridge that point. Nuclear weapons have become obsolete. with what we have shown to the world leaders in the past 7-10 days. All these aircraft carriers are good for children to have holiday on and play with. On it. And is for governments to start instructing. And it's for governments to understand it. We become very, very, what I call outspoken about this, because now we have started delivering technologies to nations, to world leaders, that with it, they can see the changes they can bring in. Humanity is fed up of killing. Humanity is fed up of all this mess we created. And citizens, just a few people would like to be the leaders who create all the mess. And with this new cycle, we take that out of their hand. And in a way, we give it to the soul of the man. Most of the world leaders suffer from all sorts of cancers, diseases, and are like what we call Hollywood actors. They're pumped up, they're 8 years old, they make them up when they look 40, because 40 years ago they played the Western movie, which was very popular. People won't recognize their face compared to 40 years ago. It's the same with the world leaders. And now they do anything to stay more in power and be called whatever. And with this technology, it does not exist anymore. We all become equal citizens and comparable citizens. But it takes time. And because the knowledge is transferred to scientists of a nation, will not be shown. And in the peace conference of the world ambassadors in October in London, we will bring the shocking news and technologies which none of you could imagine exist. We'll see. Because it's time to deliver the technologies not to a few, but to all at the same time. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We have a couple of hands up here, but before we get to them, we have a question in YouTube from Filippo. Do we have so-called critical mass in plasma technology like in nuclear field?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I guess he's saying that
we have critical energy, but we don't have it.
Well, as you well know,
we have critical energies. Well, not critical.
Right. The critical mass in nuclear, as you know, as an engineer, is the sort of a break-even point where the
I know nothing.
Things run away or whatever. But in plasma technology is different. So could you just explain that a little bit more, what you just said about that?
Critical mass, or whatever you call it, and when it runs away, we call it China syndrome in nuclear industry. Literally what we call Fukushima. It was known as China syndrome. In the energy, we don't have a critical point. In the energy of the plasma, everything finds balance. And if it reaches a point of not being holding the fields together, we reach a point of sharing and splitting. We call it, in a way, fission. So critical mass to run away and create mayhem does not exist in the world of plasma. What we call utter surface tension of the fields cannot hold on with the inner gravitational field forces. Certain amount of gravitational field forces take part in separation according to their strength, but they still carry the utter strength level surface with them, which means they cannot enter each other. And in nuclear industry, as we know, China syndrome, critical mass, and then you go into overloading the energy, then the mass, and you go into China syndrome is cannot happen in the plasma technology. Impossibilities. And I know nothing about nuclear to start with, so it's much easier to understand the energy. Any other question?
Yeah, we have a couple of hands up here, one with Moshfaq and one with Lynn. Moshfaq, would you like to go first there?
Okay. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, everybody. Since you
Long
mentioned...
time we haven't from you, Mr. Moshfaq.
Thank you. You just mentioned in response, what you mentioned in response to Aza's question, it kind of prompted me. I didn't want to ask this, but anyway, I'll ask it and you may choose to comment on it. In the last few meetings and elevations of the children and those who are, abusers of the children, I participated in those meetings intentionally without any devices. I did not feel any difference compared to when I connected with the device. Of course, I didn't hear the actual voice instructions, but I felt things, and it was somewhat clear. I may not be perfect in it, but it did, something came through. Would you like to comment a little bit on it? Perhaps it's my enchantment with the
Tell
world.
me how you connected.
Directly through my soul.
How did you connect?
Essentially, what I did is...
Yeah, but I mean, you didn't come through the Zoom?
No, I didn't come through the Zoom. I just, through my soul, I essentially tried to recreate, there is a sensation one feels once the connection happens. This is how I have been doing it. So I essentially lowered the field of the blood flow, and I feel something different when it happens. And then I connected with the system and I feel some other feelings. And this is how I connected. And it was very distinct sensation. And anyway, so this is how I did it. In any case, I'm not, I like this because it seemed to work. I mean, maybe it may not have been perfect, but it did. I mean, at least to me. And I just want to hear your comment on it. As I said, I have enough of these digital computers. But anyway.
It's not, if you have managed to link up to that level, you don't need it. The Martians and the people on planet Zeus receive the information and the knowledge the same as you do with the headphones and your telephones. There is no need for what we recently brought up as computers and communication systems we are aware of today. If you have reached that level of maturity in the level of the soul, you can quite easily bypass or even the systems and reach the soul of the abusers. There's no exclusivity.
This is something else in addition to what I just asked you. And I have tried that as well. And there is a feedback I get when I do it. And this
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Mashwat?
Yes.
Can I ask you? Did you reach our system, or did you reach what was the feeling? You reached our system.
First, I mean, I've done 2 experiments. One
you
is
felt that you were in communication with the system.
Yes, that's the first one I did. And then I did the second one, which is whether I can do it directly. And actually, I came in contact with a specific soul when I was doing it for the children, and that's your son. And you know what I mean. And so anyway, so there's something definite that comes through for me, at least. I mean, there might be some errors here and there. I may get distracted in things at times, but things do come through, and that's my feeling. Of course, it's a feeling, and I don't know. Beyond that, it's difficult to talk about these things, but I'm just saying what my experience has been.
Yeah, but you don't. This is what I was saying earlier on. You do not need a system, but the system is a tool for you to know what to do. And as we go deeper and deeper in teachings, many of the teachings will become a silent type than the voice type. Very much the way you have it in during the sessions. During the sessions, there is no talk. I mean, if we instruct something we want to do, yes, but in general, there is nobody talks except you listen, you hear, you receive the energy from a system, which is set in a specific way. You do not need.
Even the talk, I was just going to say, even the talk is very minimal when you do that. And most of the verbal that we hear is just the translation of that initial sentence or two that you say. And it has to be translated into several languages, and that takes time. Otherwise, it's quiet time. And it's very, very bizarre because you're using Zoom, which is known as for social media, for videos, audio, visual, and so on. And we tune into Zoom with no visual and no audio, basically, to be quiet. But yet the microphone has to remain on. So it's a very unique situation, and forces everyone to go into a particular position that they don't normally do when we're on social media. Social media is normally about talking and interacting and all of that busyness, with our busy brain. And there's so many things to think about and do as humans. But then in this program, it's a different situation. Everyone is quiet, but yet together. It's it's a beautiful approach, and I thank you, Mr. Keshe, for coming up with that. And it's great.
It's something which we allow the expansion of the soul, and this is what it is. When you expand your soul, once you learn to link, you don't need the intermediaries. And The more you link, the more you learn, the more access you receive. And this is the whole object of these teachings. And in the future, many of you will do that automatically. It's just I have to show you how to get to the uncle's house. And once you learn the way, you go to the uncle's house. You don't need me to show you. Any other question?
Okay, we're getting a couple of more hands up here. We have Lynn. Would you like to go ahead next? And we have Gatwa and Fabrizio.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, Rick. Because recently, a very famous music star had suicide because of her depression. So our Chinese team have somebody asking, what's the reason to cause depression and how to handle it?
Many reasons for depression. Many reasons for depression. And 99% of it, we bring it on ourselves. Is that we cannot achieve. This expectation could be communication, could be material, could be anything that we cannot reach. And we see ourselves as a failure. And man does not like failure. And depression, when you speak for like musician, singer, we've seen this in very big numbers compared to in past 10 years compared to before. The musicians expect to sell 100 million, but they don't sell, they sell 50 million. They don't look at they reach 50 million. But on the other hand, they see themselves as a failure. But the social life is not what we see outside. Depression has many reasons, but primarily is a change in the level of certain fields which does not reach. Our team of doctors work on this quite a lot in the past recent months. But with the new technologies, even what we use now is become obsolete. We can find the strength of the fields of the emotion, of depression, and feed it. That it becomes a strength. But generally, depression comes from not receiving what you're expecting and not achieving what you wanted and seeing yourself as a failure, and then it leads up one to another. Not being satisfied with what we call with life in the dimension of emotion, which triggers by the physicality. It could be a word which we lack. Not having, it usually comes from shortage or loss. But it's very easy to process with a new technology. Very easy. And You have to feel what it is and how you can reach to add to the strength of it. Any other question?
Yes, we have someone called Fabrizio, I believe is name. Would you like to go ahead, Fabrizio? Hello, you should be able to.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I would like to make this question to Professor Keshe. How to make water guns for world peace? Yes.
Make
How to
what?
make
Water guns?
for world peace to try to President Biden and Pentagon to gain peace with Russia? Thank you.
He means spray, not spry, I think.
Yes, spray.
Spray, right.
Can you repeat, Rick?
Well, he put the question in the chat here, how to do a water Gans for world peace to spray to President Biden to gain peace. How do we spray President Biden and for all of the peace on the planet, maybe with, you know.
The thing is, he's just a puppet, as we call it. You have to spray it over those who are the instigator of it. The people who make money out of war. You can wash him with a Gans water of peace. It's impossibilities because these people are just a voice box, especially in the United States, for the people who pay them to be there. You got to reach the soul of these people, and not the water to wash them. See, he's Italian. He still thinks of baptizing. And these people cannot, or is of the Christian mentality. We cannot, these people have to be elevated through the soul. Any other question?
We have Salamia with a hand up here as well. Go ahead,
Can we
Salamia.
finish?
Thank you, Rick.
Can we finish in about 15 minutes, please?
Yeah, just to give you a proposal, to make a proposal regarding our television, could be in a podcast manner. What do you think? Because I am always thinking about our project, and I feel not so well because we didn't achieve yet to do this. And I am just thinking to solutions. Thank you. It's easier way to teach.
I don't understand what solution you're trying to find for what.
For television by podcast.
The television, the television and the rest of it does not work if they don't allow you to spread the knowledge. Or with the podcast. This is one of the biggest problems which needs to be solved in different ways. I think in next few months you will see Keshe Foundation becomes fashionable. And all televisions and all the stations would like to speak about the technology in one way or another. We are reaching that point. Will become our scientific work, our peace work, our soul work will become very fashionable. And that's the time when we should lose track. And we need to reach masses and not a few. You got to remember television and podcasts nowadays don't carry that much weight. Now many people spend watching. The only majority of the old people watch television. Television has become a thing of past. The young generation does not have much time to sit in front of the TV unless it's a beautiful football game or another match or something. And the science of communication has changed. And we have to reach those through the new sciences, new ways of communication. And it needs to be done by governments. That they can understand the what do you call, the abuses of the powerful organizations. Any other question? We'll close in. After this question, we can.
Mr. Keshe, is Dean here? May I ask a quick question, Mr. Keshe?
It's already been 3 hours. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. So you mentioned something very, very important just then. How do we reach the soul of somebody to elevate them who is creating a condition that's affecting many others that we do not know who the soul is that's doing this? How would we reach that soul to be able to bring peace to their emotions?
Reach the soul of the others that they know how to reach. Find a friend who's got the telephone number, but in the soul.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Many of you reached the elevation of soul of the world leaders. And it has worked. You will see it.
You just said that the world leaders are not the ones, there's others behind this. So it's reaching the soul of the seed, the
you reach them,
this point.
They got to listen. If you reach them, if you reach the soul of the world leaders, they already got to become world leaders by reaching or being in reach of those souls who reach them there, and the abusers or the power makers. If you understand what I'm talking about.
I think partly, Mr. Keshe, thank you.
Through the soul brought them into that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's the easiest way. Thank you very much for today. I have to leave. It's over 3 hours, and we try to be very, very, what do we call, upfront and open about the things as usual. Keshe Foundation has been, and we keep to that manner. But we don't expect, but we were working on a massive changes for the Keshe Foundation. Those who are close to us and work with us are aware of it, and we will not stop till that point reaches. And that needs a lot of support from a lot of you. You supported us financially, and we worked very hard to bring things in past 10 years, 15 years. You've been there with us. Now we need the support of the soul, because then we have reached what we came here for, to bring the change. And in past couple of weeks, we see huge hope for that change to come. And we hope our hope becomes reality in very short. Thank you very much for today. Thanks very much, Rick.
One last question, Mr. Keshe. Do the sessions tomorrow start at, there's people are asking, do the sessions tomorrow start at 12 noon like previous? Sorry, you broke up there. Sorry, can't hear you, Mr. Keshe. He's gone totally. I think he was about to say 12 noon. And he's just cut out. I think things are happening there. Okay, I believe that's what it is. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for the 494th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 13th, 2023. Our next public teaching workshop will be coming up on Tuesday, July 18th, and that will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice. And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European Summer Time. And that will be with members of the Universal Council. And the public is welcome to ask questions in the second part of that show and to enjoy the presentation that the Universal Council members will bring forward. Okay, I think that's it for now. Again, thank you everyone for attending today. We'll go out with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version for a little clapping and dancing. And see you all in the next public teaching workshop. Bye for now.